Hey everybody, Tom Gulley here from the Tom Gulley Show. Let me tell you about The Big Valley. That's right, a TV Western of the mid to late 60s that was, I think, the Cadillac of all the TV Westerns. Now, there were shows that lasted longer. There were shows that were more popular. But I don't think there was a show of as high a quality consistently in terms of certainly the acting and the actors, the writing, and the scale of the production. The Big Valley kind of stands alone, feeling epic and sweeping and majestic. As I mentioned, the cast was so great. You just gotta love every single character. We'll talk about all of them as we discuss all the greatness of the Big Valley. This, of course, is our cold open. We do this because we have quite a few audio podcast followers, and I love the audio podcast. The Tom Gulley Show began as an audio podcast. Frankly, I wouldn't even have it as a live streaming YouTube show if people didn't demand that I did. Who wants to see my face? I don't even want to see it. But audio podcast people want you to get down to cases. They don't hold no truck with any falderall or fooling around. So that's why we do this, is to let them know that at the top of the hour, the top of the show, we will do those things. We will get down to cases. But in the meantime, it's also, as I mentioned, a live interactive YouTube show. So I have to do a little vamping to allow people to enter our chat room, which gives us that interactivity that spices up the show. So what I usually do is I play a couple songs, and those songs have been created especially for the Tom Gulley Show by our musical director, Leon Kennedy. They're always about the show or me. Therefore, I love them because they flatter me. Yes. But right after that's over, we handle a little business, and then we get into the topic. And, Sundays we do a classic television show. I'm a freak for classic television, so I'm excited. This is going to be a great show. I have no doubt of it. However, in the meantime, I do have these wonderful songs. If you are just watching us on demand on YouTube, or you're listening to our audio podcast and you're just not into that kind of thing, if you just don't like the coolest, most wonderful songs you've ever heard, well then, of course, feel free to scroll straight through to the top of the show, at which point, let me tell you about the Big Valley.
Desk wherever, can he see us through space for Tom to go far, popping some pills for the man with the Letterman star. And if Tom came to your country, would you keep him for a while, surrounding yourself in his familiar smile? And when he comes around, the stadiums fill up fully. They shout, "Is that him, Mr. Gulley? Is that Tom? It's Tom Gulley." They yell, "Is that him, Mr. Gulley? Is that Tom? It's Tom Gulley." They say, "Is that him, Mr. Gulley? Is that Tom? It's Tom Gulley." Tom Gulley's back. Yeah, Tom Gulley's back. We're on the track. We're never off the track. Yeah. Tom Gulley's on the air. Doesn't take much. Yeah. Tom Gulley's on the air. Doesn't take much. Yeah. Yeah, Tom's back. He's picking up the slack. The Tom Gulley Show is back. He's picking up the slack. Mike stays hot when Tom Gulley's in the chair. The people crowding round when he hits the air. From odd little tangents to the truth laid bare. Got the whole room nodding like, yeah, yeah. All calls coming in, everyone gets in place. Dancing all night with a smile on the face. He cuts through the noise, never chasing the race. Just Tom on the waves at a steady pace. Yeah, yeah, Tom's back. He's putting down the track. The Tom Gulley Show is back. He's putting down the track. Yeah, yeah, Tom's back. He's putting down the track. The Tom Gulley Show is back. He's putting down the track. Headphones on, the lights begin to glow. Every night he's got a story to show. From strange little moments to the things we all know. He lets it all breathe and he lets it all go. Laughter breaks through, then a pause, then a truth. From the good old days in a radio booth. Don't ask for facts, don't beg for proof. We dance in the dark to that gully groove. Yeah, yeah, Tom's back. He's laying down the facts. The Tom Gulley Show is back. He's laying down the facts. Yeah, yeah, Tom's back. He's laying down the facts. The Tom Gulley
Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking? Let me tell you about the Big Valley. The Big Valley was just a little more high quality than the TV westerns of its era. It was at the very end of what we'll call the classic wave of TV westerns. Some of the TV westerns didn't really require quality. They had that sort of western ethos and the good guy versus bad guy thing going on. But the Big Valley, they didn't skimp. They got a cast that arguably was just better than the other casts. The writing was incredible. It was produced by some people you may be familiar with that had produced another big show that we talked about once before, but that show was 10 years earlier. The Big Valley just was more epic in scale, and we'll tell you all about it, and the cast is going to blow you away. This cast had a secret weapon that allowed them to get the very finest guest stars that you can possibly imagine. And I will prove it in thought, word, and deed in no time. Before we get going, please do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. These are all absolutely free things you can do to help us out with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-seeing algorithm, plus the fact that it only costs you a click. Clicks are free. Just give us a little click, a little something for the effort. You know what I'm saying? A little something for the effort. We have super chats. We have memberships, gifted memberships in our YouTube chat room. If you go to our YouTube description, there's the PayPal where we enjoy your contributions there. Also, if you go to the TomGulleyShow.com, we do have a merchandise store. People love the merchandise. I've never had a complaint. We get people sending pictures of them using the merchandise. It's a heck of a thing. Let's go to our chat room very quickly before we get into the topic of the day. This chef is here, says he's on the couch. Well-earned rest away from chefing. Butterdick Jones is here, says Tom Gulley rules. Right back at you. Let's all enjoy the Tom Gulley Show. Let's, shall we? I think we shall. I'm quite confident of it. Confident of it. The Big Valley. Oh, the Big Valley. How can you not love the Big Valley? It's big. And there's a valley. I'm trying to find a graphic here I created. Oh, there we go. The Big Valley, an American Western television series that originally aired from September 15th, 1965 to May 19th, 1969 on ABC. The series is set in, well, it's not in, it's on the Barkley Ranch. And the Barkleys had their ranch near Stockton, California. Good old Stockton, California, which they always were talking about having to go into Stockton. I went ahead and found a photo, sorry, audio podcast listeners, of Stockton, California at the time the Big Valley took place. And frankly, when they do go into Stockton, they did a darn fine job of making it look like Stockton, California in the 1870s. The episodes lasted an hour. You couldn't pack all of the great stars and characters on the show into just a half an hour. And it follows the lives of the Barkley family, one of, if not the wealthiest and largest ranch-owning families in California. And now we got to tell you a little bit about the production, because it was created by two people, a guy named A.I. Bezarettes, and he was not from this country. The first name I believe was August, but he went by A.I., way before AI was cool. And another guy called Louis Edelman. Louis Edelman had been involved in television in the United States for some time and produced a lot of movies. He actually produced the classic gangster movie White Heat, starring James Cagney. So he was a known name. But it was produced by a company called Levy Gardner Lavin. And if you really pay attention to the Tom Gulley Show, you remember that name. And Levy Gardner Lavin produced it for a company called Four Star Television. And those two names should be familiar because those are the people that produced The Rifleman. And so even though this series was a number of years after The Rifleman concluded, it's 7-8 years later, there are some carryovers in terms of guest stars and various production people and things of that nature. Now, the series begins in around 1876, 6 years after the death of the family patriarch, Thomas Barkley. But don't dwell on that too long. Thomas Barkley is never shown in the series. Okay, once there was a painting and once there was a statue, but his character is a major plot point many, many, many times. In fact, one of the characters hinges on Thomas Barkley, in addition to the fact that many times an old business acquaintance will come onto the show of Thomas Barkley, or someone that had a grudge against Thomas Barkley, or he's actually a character on the show without being the character on the show. I'll get to that main character whose entire existence hinges on Thomas Barkley in just a second. The cast was absolutely spectacular. Let's start off with Victoria Barkley, Barbara Stanwyck. Now, for you younger audiences, and even for people my age, I think Barbara Stanwyck has slightly faded with time, which is a shame. It is a shame. However, at the time this TV series was on the air, Barbara Stanwyck was still an extremely well-known name. I'm going to get into Barbara Stanwyck just a little bit. She had a 60-year career. And not only that, she was very much a favorite actress in the movies. Her doing television was not a step down, but it was a step down. Because she was a big, famous movie star. I mean big. She was Scarlett Johansson big in her day. And she was a favorite of directors like Cecil B. DeMille, Fritz Lang, and Frank Capra. She made 86 films in 38 years. She got 3 Primetime Emmys, a Golden Globe Award, and she was nominated. She never won, but she was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. She was a Ziegfeld girl. That's right, a dancing girl. And I mean, she was, the movies that she did, famous for the screwball comedy Ball of Fire with Gary Cooper, The Lady Eve with Henry Fonda. She's the main female character in Meet John Doe, a Frank Capra movie. I mean, and she's in Sorry, Wrong Number in the film edition. She also was in Double Indemnity, which is a famous film noir movie. She was in Executive Suite. I mean, it's staggering. Absolutely staggering, the number of great films she was in. So when she came on to television to do The Big Valley, it was like, what's going on here? Okay? She was, I'm telling you, she was big Big, big, big. And she brought all of her acting chops to the Big Valley. She's Victoria Barkley. In the promo, I'll never forget the promo for the Big Valley. Victoria Barkley, a woman with backbone and bite. You get on your horse and ride out. She yells at this guy on her property. She's the widow of Thomas Barkley, and she's the head of the Barkley family, wealthy, influential, and they live in this big mansion, and she's the owner and the head of the Barkley Ranch, and she's not a figurehead. She runs that place. She is a tough broad. Incidentally, the Barkley Ranch is 30,000 acres. It is big. It is big. And she, when she took this job, said, I am not going to be a vulnerable, fragile woman on this show. Not going to happen. Fiercely protective of her children. Very protective, including, I'll just go ahead and spill the beans right now, including Thomas Barkley's illegitimate son, Heath, who she welcomed into the family with no resentment, no bad feelings, and referred to him as my son. She was refined, she was elegant, but she could throw a punch. Her episodes were very often very hard-hitting. She was thrown into a lunatic asylum once. She was taken prisoner in a prison wagon in a mistaken identity thing. She went undercover one time. She was trapped in a cave-in. Well, I'll get to it in a little while when I talk about the guest stars. I think one of my favorite episodes of the Big Valley, perhaps my most favorite, involves Victoria Barkley off of the Barkley Ranch. Barbara Stanwyck. Richard Long played Jarrod Thomas Barkley, the oldest son. And even though this is a ranch family, all right, big ranchers, Jarrod was a respected attorney at law. He was educated, refined, and by far, and I mean by far, the calmest of the Barkley sons, and we'll get into that in a minute. He handles all the family's legal and business affairs. And he prefers to settle disputes amicably, negotiations, but he is a Barkley. And he will resort to frontier justice and violence whenever he feels like it. He's briefly married in an episode, but his new bride is killed when someone shoots at him and hits her by mistake. And he loses his mind, and we get to see Jarrod Barkley like we've never seen him before. He relentlessly and brutally tracks down the murderer till he's stopped by his brother. He's about to kill him with his bare hands. He's a veteran of the American Civil War. He was a cavalry officer in the Union Army. He appeared in 98 of the 112 episodes. Victoria Barkley, Barbara Stanwyck, was in 103 of the 112 episodes. The next son, oh man, this guy, they're all my favorite. What am I talking about? They're just all my favorite. The next son is Nick Barkley. And in all the promos, they're always hot-tempered Nick. And he was hot-tempered, okay? He's played by Peter Breck, and he manages the ranch. He's kind of like the ranch foreman. He's in charge of everything as far as, Victoria's running the show. Jarrod's taking care of all the legal stuff. He's the boots on the ground that get things done on the ranch. He wears a black leather jacket or vest at all times. He's got a big black hat, black leather gloves, and he will start a fight in a heartbeat, very loud, very opinionated. He was also in the American Civil War in the Union Army. He is always ready for a fight, and he will fight his brothers as well. underneath all that rough and tumble, hard ass kind of attitude, he has a very big sense of humor and will do anything. Even if his brothers are wrong, he will do anything to defend them. Then we get to the beauty of the group. Linda Evans, who you may know from Dynasty, where she played Crystal Carrington. She's Victoria's only daughter. And her name's Audra. Let me tell you something. Audra is good looking, but she is no picnic at all. She's self-absorbed. She's very bold and impulsive. She's not demure. She will, do horse stunts. She's a little bit of a tomboy in that regard, but she's also a girly girl. And there you go. She's also very caring. She helps out with the local orphanage. A few of the episodes deal with her romances. Oh, boy. Audra's romances. Good gravy. Now, there's a subject. There he is. One of her romances has a guy, Robert Walker Jr., an actor who, he just seemed to always play crazy people. He was good looking and he could act real, normal. But underneath it all, he was crazy. He was on a famous episode of Star Trek where he was nutto. And anyway, he is one of her suitors that turns out to be wacko. During the final 2 seasons, Linda Evans' appearances as Audra were cut down a lot. And the reason for this, and I think it bears mention, is she wanted to spend more time with her husband, John Derek. John Derek in Hollywood was known for pretty much marrying women that looked the same. He had Linda Evans, and I think before that he had Ursula Andress, and he was known to be very overbearing and controlling of his wives. As a matter of fact, the reason Linda Evans and John Derek broke up was he was having an affair with a 17-year-old. That 17-year-old, I forget her real name, but that 17-year-old turned out to be a woman who would change her name and marry John Derek, called Bo Derek. Yes, Bo Derek cheated with John Derek. That's what broke up their marriage. The Hollywood stories just flow like water here, don't they, folks? Now let's get to Heath Barkley. Heath Barkley is he's a major point of contention on this show. We got some chat going on here. Even back then, Tom. Richard Long, yes. It was very Jerry Seinfeld. Okay. Heath Barkley, of course, is the illegitimate son of Victoria's late husband, and he literally has to fight his way into the Barkley home. Lee Majors plays the even-tempered but rough-and-tumble Heath, who is often angry and aggressive during the early episodes. He's got a big chip on his shoulder because he thinks Tom Barkley has abandoned his real mother after she was with child, as well as the resistance he receives from the Barkleys. They originally think he's just a fortune seeker and that he's making up a story to try to get at their riches. Well, it's discovered that Tom Barkley never knew about Heath, and Heath's mother never told him. And Heath gradually gains acceptance from the rest of the family as the first season went along. And he becomes as much a Barkley as the rest of the family. And he's just one of the group after them. He even starts calling Victoria mother when he's speaking to her. Nick is very leery of Heath. Oh, yeah. Nick doesn't think Heath is... he's not happy about about Heath at all. He's but eventually he grows closer to Heath than he is to Jarrod because he has a lot more in common with him. They're both kind of rough-edged. They both do work with their hands and all of that stuff. Yeah. Heath was also a soldier in the Union Army in the Civil War. Heath also has a bit of a dark background. He was a soldier in the Lincoln County Wars, which were very, very bloody, and was apparently quite good with a gun. So in addition to the Barkleys, the episodes usually involve evil people, antagonists, protagonists, and their attempts to deal with them. There were just a very few handful of recurring characters on this show. Very few. Extremely few. One was Silas, an actor named Napoleon Whiting, and I don't want to go too deep into it, but Napoleon Whiting basically played the same roles his entire life in Hollywood. He was a butler, a servant, whatever, but he was the Barkleys' butler. And I don't think any of the other Westerns had a butler, but the Barkleys did. And it was Napoleon Whiting. There was the sheriff of the Stockton area. And, they didn't spare the horses on even the side characters. Sheriff Fred Madden was played by Douglas Kennedy. And Douglas Kennedy appeared in 190 films. Forget his TV career. 190 movies. So he was very well known. And then we have a little bit of a problem. A little bit of a problem with the cast of The Big Valley. Now, it's not a giant problem, but I don't think you can say it's anything but a problem. And that is, if you look at the guy on the far right, sorry, audio podcast listeners, it's an actor named Charles Briles. And he plays Eugene Barkley. He's the youngest Barkley. He's a medical student. He studies at college. Like his older brothers, he's known to have a temper. And he appears in 8 first season episodes, and then he gets drafted, and then they only mention his name one time ever again. So, yeah, that kind of happened to Charles Briles. I couldn't really find any other significant credits for him, by the way, either. It's like this was his big shot in Hollywood, and that was it. Never saw him again. Never, ever saw him again. Ever. He was kind of like the older brother, Chuck Cunningham, on Happy Days. Hold on a second here. I've got a terrible cough. Man, that hurts. Okay. Now, earlier I mentioned a secret weapon that this show had regarding guest stars. And I'm going to tell you that secret weapon was Barbara Stanwyck. I know it doesn't mean much to people today, unless you're a student of film. And if you are, you know who Barbara Stanwyck is, and you know she's a legend. Well, this was Barbara Stanwyck coming down from upon high to do television. So you knew that television show was going to be of the highest caliber possible. Otherwise, Barbara Stanwyck, who was known for her work ethic, one director said Barbara Stanwyck had 2 loves, work and work. She was very serious about her profession. And so, the Big Valley was able to acquire not only the creme de la creme of episodic television actors, they got actors from all over the field of entertainment, and not just people known for acting, as I'll show you here in a second. Ryan says, damn, I'm late. No one is ever late for the Tom Gulley Show. Yes, Chef is right. No one's ever late. You're never late for this show. Ever. No one. Not even me. So here's some of the guest stars on this program. Julie Adams, and I'm showing you here with Jack Kelly of Maverick. Julie Adams was a constant on television during this time period, but she also, you might know her as the actress and creature from The Black Lagoon. John Anderson, who was on every show during this time period. Richard Anderson, Oscar Goldman from The $6 Million Man, but that is short selling him. He was probably in 300 TV episodes. Teague Andrews, he was the police dude that was in charge of the hippies on the Mod Squad, also known as a very fine dramatic actor. How about this guy, Buford Pusser himself, Joe Don Baker? Oh, yeah. These aren't high level enough for you? Oh, okay. How about Ann Baxter from the Ten Commandments as Nefertiti? That's right, I said Nefertiti, and I meant Titi. Academy Award winner. Yes, that Ann Baxter. She will not be the first Academy Award winner I will mention. Now, the Big Valley, like some shows, certainly The Rifleman was one of these shows, the Big Valley would get people not known for dramatic acting and sometimes not known for acting at all. They were a different kind of performer. And they'd have them come on and play a very dramatic role. And one of those people was the legendary comedian Milton Berle. He came onto the program and did not yuck it up. He was playing a serious role. Karen Black was on the Big Valley. You may remember her from Trilogy of Terror, as well as a million movies. How about our good friend from The Dirty Dozen and all the Death Wish movies and The Great Escape? Charles Bronson. Yes, he, a movie guy. Although he started out on TV, Man with a Camera, and a lot of Westerns, Charles Bronson was on the Big Valley. How about Ellen Burstyn, Academy Award winner? You know her from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as Nurse Ratched. Yes, that Ellen Burstyn. She was bursting with talent. I'm sorry. How about this person who I hesitate to mention? Do I have to tell my Yvonne Craig story again? Batgirl, Yvonne Craig. Do I have to tell the story again of what a... Oh, God, she was awful. Just awful. I mean awful. Butterdick Jones is asking if the chef actually cooks. Oh, yes, he does. You better bet you does. He's a chef at Geraldine's Supper Club and Lounge in Indianapolis, Indiana, just off Fountain Square on English Avenue. Ah, boy. I've told my Yvonne Craig story so many times, but let me just say I had personal interaction with her, and she was a repellent human being in my experience. Maybe she was just having a bad... Well, it was way longer than a day, so it couldn't have been a bad day. Longer than a week. Maybe she was just having a bad existence. How about this young fella? Johnny Crawford. That's right. Mark from The Rifleman. Paw, paw. He was on The Big Valley. Royal Dano, another one of those indestructible character actors who was on every show, like this man, my hero and idol, John Dehner. Yeah, John Dehner was on The Big Valley. You just knew he was. How about this woman, Colleen Dewhurst, another critically acclaimed actress. Here's actually Barbara Stanwyck and Colleen Dewhurst from a scene on The Big Valley. Now, I don't know about you, but that's service. She was known for doing the roles of the playwright Eugene O'Neill, early dramas on live television. She was one of those very critically acclaimed types of actresses, you know. She was top drawer. How about another Academy Award winner while we're at it? Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws, The Goodbye Girl, American Graffiti. Do we need to keep going? What about Bob? Yes, Academy Award winner Richard Dreyfuss, also on The Big Valley. How about Andrew Duggan? Look at that fella. He was just made for Westerns. Big dude, too. Here's an actor that's a crossover from The Rifleman, Paul Fix. He was on The Rifleman. Robert Fuller, who had been a star on Wagon Train and on Laramie, was also a guest star on The Big Valley. Here's another one of those atypical castings I was talking about. A legendary singer and Las Vegas performer who dabbled in acting. That's right, Robert Goulet was on The Big Valley playing a serious, and if I recall correctly, a somewhat sinister role. He was a bad guy. How about Lee Grant? Another Academy Award winner. How about her? Huh? 2 Primetime Emmys, Directors Guild of America, 5 Golden Globe nominations. Lee Grant. They weren't messing around. How about Charles Grodin from The Heartbreak Kid and Midnight Run and Heaven Can Wait? And Clifford, sure, but how about Dennis Hopper? Easy Rider, Apocalypse Now, Hoosiers, Academy Award nominated. Do you want another Academy Award winner? Because I got one here for you, and this guy was probably the most legendary child actor of all time, and then grew up and was on the #1 hit TV show of all time, and then became maybe one of, if not the best director in Hollywood for a number of years, and that's Ron Howard. He was on The Big Valley. I'm telling you, the guest stars they got were through the roof. How about the professor from Gilligan's Island, Russell Johnson? He was on a lot of TV shows back then, but I know some of you know Gilligan's Island, so I figured I'd show him. How about Academy Award winner George Kennedy? Cool Hand Luke. How about Diane Ladd, another super high-end actress, mother of Laura Dern and ex-wife of Bruce Dern. She was nominated for the Academy Award 3 times, one for Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, one for Wild at Heart, and one for Rambling Rose, known as one of the very finest actors in Hollywood. Would you like another Academy Award winner? Yeah, I think maybe I got one here. Cloris Leachman, who won an Academy Award for The Last Picture Show. I believe she's got 7 Primetime Emmys. Cloris Leachman, as well as being Frau Blucher in Young Frankenstein, is highly critically acclaimed. She won 8 Primetime Emmys. She was nominated for 22 Primetime Emmys and won that Academy Award. Yes. How about this woman, Julie London? Really more famous as a singer. She's in the Grammy Hall of Fame for a song that she did called Cry Me a River. Torch singer. She ended up acting in the TV show Emergency, and she did do movies and stuff. How about Sherry North, who is going to be the next Marilyn Monroe when she entered the Hollywood system? Another actress, highly sought after. She's in the movie Lawman, and she's amazing in it. Absolutely amazing in it. You should see it sometime. It's for free on the streaming services. She was supposed to be a successor to Marilyn Monroe. How about Simon Oakland? He was on everything. The Night Stalker, Rockford Files. He's the guy at the end of Psycho that gives the explanation for what happened. Now, you want to talk about people that aren't known for acting. Here's a guy that probably ended up being as famous as you can get, but not for acting. And when I tell you he was on the Big Valley, you're going to go, no. And I'm going to go, yes. And you're going to go, no, no, no. And I'm going to go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's Regis Philbin. Can you believe it? Regis Philbin. Buttigieg Jones loved Cool Hand Luke. Fantastic film. Really was. That's what George Kennedy won his Academy Award for. Here's another guy, not known as an actor, one of my favorite singers all time, and that is Lou Rawls. You'll never find another heart like mine, someone who loves you tender like I do. Yeah, that Lou Rawls. And many others, by the way. How about Susan Oliver? Became a very fine aviator late in her life after she got popular in Hollywood. But she, if you're a Star Trek fan, is the woman that was painted green in Star Trek. How about Catherine Ross? Here she is with Lee Majors as Heath from the Big Valley, from the actual thing, the Big Valley. Yes, yes. She was nominated for an Academy Award for The Graduate. She has a BAFTA Award, which is the British Academy Awards, and then 2 Golden Globe Awards. And you might know her today, Catherine Ross, as Mrs. Sam Elliott. What do you think about that? Huh? Am I not bringing the heat on this episode that is getting absolutely no views right now? Chef's like, no, yes. How about Jill St. John? Currently Mrs. Robert Wagner. She was Mrs. Robert Wagner, and then somebody else became Mrs. Robert Wagner, and then she became Mrs. Robert Wagner again. Jill St. John, va-va-voom, by the way. Okay, you just got to throw him in. He was in tons of TV shows back then. But William Shatner, yes, William Shatner. And this guy I'm just going to show you because he's one of my favorites, a character actor from back then named Harold J. Stone. He was in everything, just everything. And then, of course, we have a woman who comes from, let's just say, acting legend. Acting legend. I mean, she was nominated for a Tony Award when she was 18 for playing the title role in The Diary of Anne Frank. And just from an acting family that is legendary. She's the daughter of theater and drama coach Lee Strasberg of the Actors Studio and former actress Paula Strasberg. And everybody who is anybody went to that acting school. Anyway, no further ado. Susan Strasberg, also on the Big Valley. Now, those were people I plucked out of the cast. I guess I didn't put a picture of James Gregory up, because I'm going to talk about that here in a second. Butterdick Jones says, Tom, I generally enjoy the programming, and I'm not complaining. I sincerely like your shows. I didn't think you were, Butterdick Jones. I mentioned Cool Hand Luke. It's perfectly legitimate to say you really like that movie, because George Kennedy won his Academy Award from that, and he was on the Big Valley Academy Award winner. Big deal. That's a big deal, man. There's a bunch of people that I didn't pull out to get their picture, but I'm just going to say their names because some of them are important to people that love television. They weren't necessarily Academy Award winners, but they were pervasive on episodic television for a long time. Claude Akins, Jack Albertson, the grandfather from the original Willy Wonka film. Let's see here. Joseph Campanella, John Carradine, Bruce Dern, Bradford Dillman, Maurice Evans, Vincent Gardenia, Kathy Garver, my good friend who was on, what's the Brian Keith show? Family Affair, was that it? Arlene Galanka, Dabbs Greer, Buddy Hackett was actually on the Big Valley. L.Q. Jones, very indestructible actor. Yaphet Kotto, known for Homicide: Life on the Street, one of the James Bond movies. Martin Landau, I should have put him on the list. He won an Academy Award. I know he was nominated for one. Robert Loggia. Let's see who else we got here. Oh, Dan O'Herlihy, J. Pat O'Malley, Warren Oates, Leslie Parrish, Nancy Olson, Eve Plum from the Brady Bunch, Pernell Roberts from from Bonanza, Wayne Rogers from MASH. Are you getting the idea that these guys had? Oh, and Adam West. You remember Batman, don't you? Adam West? Yes, he also was on the Big Valley. James Whitmore, Morgan Woodward. Let me tell you for a second, though, about a guy. I thought I had downloaded his picture. I don't think I did. But it's one of my favorite episodes. And it's a guy named James Gregory. He played the inspector on Barney Miller. And James Gregory could play anything. He could play a serious role. But he played this drunken, self-serving kind of guy that had to take Victoria Barkley out to an Indian reservation to get some medicine to them. And along the way, they're abducted and she's kidnapped and all this. It's almost like the movie The African Queen. He doesn't want to do anything to help anybody. He's just trying to get to his next stiff drink. And little by little, he reveals that he is actually not just a drunk and that he actually does care and that he actually isn't a coward and he's actually quite brave. And even though he is so far below Victoria Barkley's station in life, they actually have sort of this little romance starting. And it's sort of left at the end where she kind of lets him know, you know, at a different time in a different place, we could have been a thing. And it's a great episode. It's season 2. It's called Pursuit. And it is fabulous. By the way, I believe I put a link to all the Big Valley episodes in the YouTube description. Someone go to the description and tell me if I did that, please. I'm pretty sure I did. Team Brittany's here. She says, Batman, Holy Western series, Robin. Luckily, Burt Ward was never on the show. So we have a lot of stuff going on with the Barkleys and with the Big Valley. The TV series is actually loosely based on an actual ranch not far from the real Stockton, California. Today, the location of the ranch is got a historical marker there and stuff, but the show takes place around 1876. Like most of these shows, there's a little fudging with the numbers here and there, but that's where it is. Wilfred M. Klein, Technicolor Associate Cinematographer, on a little movie called Gone with the Wind. Have you ever heard of it? I thought perhaps you had. Well, he was the director of photography for several Big Valley episodes. And for reasons along those lines, it's sometimes believed that the Tara set from Gone with the Wind was repurposed for use as the Barkley family home in the Big Valley, but it wasn't. However, it was a set that was constructed for a movie called The Kentuckian. So it was a movie set. The theme song is awesome. It's composed by a guy named George Dunning, who is very well known in the world of composing stuff for TV. He also scored the pilot and 58 episodes. The third season of The Big Valley was scored by a guy named Lalo Schifrin. And here's just a few of his compositions. I'm going to just keep saying it. Did I not tell you the Big Valley was super high quality all over the board? His composition include the following theme songs. Mission Impossible. Dun, 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 dun. You know Mission Impossible? Mannix, as well as the film scores to Cool Hand Luke, Bullet, Enter the Dragon, The Eagle Has Landed, The Amityville Horror, and all of Clint Eastwood's movies from the late 60s to the 1980s. He was a 5-time Grammy Award winner, nominated for 6 Academy Awards, 5 for Best Original Score, once for Best Original Song, and 4 Emmy Awards. That's season 3 of The Big Valley. 3. Season 4, they went schlummin'. They got Elmer Bernstein. Don't know Elmer Bernstein? Over 150 original film scores, 80 television productions, Academy Award for Thoroughly Modern Millie, Primetime Emmy, 7 Golden Globes, 5 Grammy Awards, 2 Tony Awards. Okay, let me just give you his scores. He scored The Man with the Golden Arm, The 10 Commandments, Sweet Smell of Success, The Magnificent Seven, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Great Escape, True Grit, My Left Foot, Cape Fear, Twilight, Animal House, Meatballs, Airplane, The Blues Brothers, Stripes, Trading Places, Ghostbusters, Three Amigos. He worked with, at their request, Martin Scorsese, John Landis, Ivan Reitman, John Sturgis, George Roy Hill, John Frankenheimer. That's the guy who did the music for season 4 of The Big Valley. What do you think about that? By the way, by the by, did I mention? Yeah, they made an album, a soundtrack album of The Big Valley, in both mono and stereo versions, with music cues and the theme and a lot of other stuff. It's never been re-released on compact disc or anything else, but it does exist on vinyl for your enjoyment. Now, well, let me get to. I see we have some chats. I want to get to those, and then I'll start putting a fork in this thing. Hey, man, do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. It doesn't cost you anything, you know. Normally, our TV show retrospectives do big numbers on Sunday. This would not be the case for the Big Valley today. That's okay. Team Brittany's been kind enough to let me know that the Big Valley link is there, free on YouTube. Team Brittany's has never heard of it. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. You know, you hear that line your whole life, and then until you watch the Big Valley, not the Big Valley, the Gone with the Wind, you really don't realize how impactful that line was in terms of the film. Was the Big Valley super high quality by chance? It really was. Team Brittany says, I have a friend who says, by the by, and it drives me absolutely insane. I know, I'm sorry. I have a friend that says, as it were, all the time. And it makes me crazy. Crazy. So the Big Valley was popular. Don't get me wrong. It was popular. But it wasn't as popular as it could be, and therefore I'm putting the grumpy Heath, Barkley, Lee Majors picture up. Its ratings never made the top 30 in the yearly ratings chart, and there's a couple reasons for this. One of which is this was as the Western was dying out. Westerns just weren't as popular as they once were. The other thing was it was up against pretty tough competition, and the reason it stayed around for 4 seasons is it many times would beat that competition, but it in doing so couldn't get ratings against those stronger programs high enough to put it in the top 30. However, it went into syndication, and people love it. In Ella Smith's 1973 biography called Starring Miss Barbara Stanwyck, the author noted that The Big Valley had been canceled by ABC mainly due to a poor time slot. In better times, the series had been enough of a hit to outlive various time slot rivals during its run, which was usually Monday at 10 p.m., including Run for Your Life and I Spy, which are 2 very good shows. According to Broadcasting Magazine, back in September of 1965, the debut episode of The Big Valley, which happened Wednesdays at 9 p.m., where it aired for half the season, put it at 39th in the Nielsen ratings. And that might sound kind of low, but you have to remember there were more shows then. There was like 90 shows. The Big Valley was also ranked as one of the top 5 favorite new shows in polling when it was released. The others were Get Smart, I Dream of Jeannie, Lost in Space, and F Troop, 4 other very syndicated shows. Early into its 2nd season, the Big Valley was still performing very consistently, much higher than That Girl, Daniel Boone, Petticoat Junction, and The Wild Wild West. Even so, the Big Valley got 3 TV Guide covers, which was a big thing back then. Yes, it really was. But eventually, the rising popularity of the Carol Burnett Show and complaints by Joey Bishop, who's just being a jerk, I guess. I've never been crazy about Joey Bishop. ABC's late-night talk show host up against Carson. He thought that the Big Valley's ratings weren't helping him in his lead-in. And so, bye-bye to the Big Valley. Although the Big Valley was exceptionally popular in Europe and Latin America as well as the United States. The Big Valley is actually mentioned in the comedy movie Airplane, when that guy that's kind of crazy in the airport control room. Lloyd Bridges is worrying about this guy cracking under pressure, and he goes, "It happened to Barbara Stanwyck." And this guy goes, "Nick, Heath, Jarrod, there's a fire in the bar," and then runs around the place. It's funny. In 1966, for her first season as Victoria Barkley, Barbara Stanwyck won the Emmy for Best Lead Actress in a Drama Series. She was nominated 2 more times for her work on The Big Valley and got 3 Golden Globe nominations as Best TV Star for the part, consecutively, I might add. In March of 1967, Barbara Stanwyck was named Favorite TV Actress at the Photoplay Magazine Awards. What do you think about that? And who presented her award to her? None other than Richard Long, who people don't remember Richard Long. And the reason for that is Richard Long passed away very young at age 47. Now, he was on a show, I believe it was Nanny and the Professor. He was on another big show, was Richard Long. But he, as a child, had gotten pneumonia and it weakened his heart. And he died of a heart attack at age 47. He was on The Big Valley, The Nanny and the Professor, and a really popular show called Bourbon Street Beat, which was a cousin to 77 Sunset Strip. And he also appeared a lot on 77 Sunset Strip. He's a very popular actor, very good actor. But we just don't know him because he passed away at such a young age. The American Cinema Editors in 1966 and 68 named The Big Valley the year's best edited television program. So there you go. Dell Comics produced a very short-lived run of, oh boy, this is Richard Long as Jarrod, the lawyer, with his law books there. That's awesome. It was a very short-lived comic book, 6 issues when it first came out on television. The Big Valley people have put several episodes into, like, you know, to be continueds and stuff into feature-length TV movies. And those have been issued in box sets as a movie. In July of 2009, it was reported in the LA Times that Daniel Adams and Kate Edelman Johnson, some filmmakers, were producing a feature adaptation of The Big Valley. And they were going to start doing this in April of 2010 in New Mexico and Michigan. In 2012, the film was, which is originally intended to star Susan Sarandon and then Jessica Lange as Victoria Barkley, was put on indefinite hold after that Daniel Adams guy was indicted for fraud pertaining to 2 previous movies and sued by investors who had contributed money to get the Big Valley movie made, and he swindled them as well. You can get it on DVD. There you go. I'm just going to tell you that. You can get it on DVD. DVD. There's the cast. There's the album. I've got some pictures here I haven't showed you, I don't think. Here's Barbara Stanwyck and Linda Evans. There's Linda Evans again. She was good looking. And John Derek said, "You're not doing that TV show as much as you want because I'm controlling. I'm going to have an affair with 17-year-old Bo Derek instead." Let's see here. Oh, okay. Nothing in the chat room. It's more Peter Breck for you. Oh God, that is a Nick Barkley pose. He was always standing with his chest out with a glass of booze in his hand. And we loved him for it. Actually, Barbara Stanwyck and Peter Breck became very close on the set of The Big Valley, and she mentored him. And he really became a close personal friend of hers throughout the rest of her life. He said that she taught him a lot about work ethic and acting, and she was apparently a very nice person as well, but she was there to work. She was there to work. She was a woman with backbone and bite. I have an old reel around here. It's actually on VHS. I probably haven't watched it in 15, 20 years. And it's ABC TV promos. And one of the promos is for the Big Valley. And it's debuting the Big Valley. And Barbara Stanwyck as Victoria Barkley, a woman with backbone and bite. And she's holding a rifle and pointing at this guy. And she goes, "You get on your horse and ride out." I'll never forget it. It's a mnemonic device at this point. Here's the train station. They occasionally would go into the train station. And that train was used in the Big Valley. There is the cast all together. Here's the cast all in sort of a lineup fashion. And that's really all I have to tell you about the Big Valley, other than I'm crushed. Our TV retrospectives are usually very popular, and I don't know what's going on today, but this one is not. So maybe my friends from TV Confidential will breathe life into this program. But if you guys could like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, I'd be eternally grateful. And so would the members of the Barkley clan as they travel the Big Valley, the Big Valley. If you've never seen the Big Valley, you just pick out one of those episodes. I recommend season 2. Look for an episode called Pursuit. Now, you're not necessarily going to get a full flavor of the entire Barkley clan, but it is one of my favorite episodes, and it's with Barbara Stanwyck, as I mentioned, going out, trying to deliver medicine and save somebody's life, and she has to depend upon the help of James Gregory, who plays a guy named Simon, I can't remember his last name, who's kind of a ne'er-do-well drunk, shirking his duties, and it's a wonderful story. It's a lot of people have really said it's one of their favorites. Team Brittany says, "I have never seen the show." Well, I don't know how you feel about shows, but I would say watch that episode. But since maybe you weren't here at the beginning, I will again reiterate, and I would have done this anyway. For my money, of all the Westerns, and there's some that came close, The High Chaparral and some, even though the Big Valley was on the air at the very end of the glory days of the TV Western, even though Bonanza was a fine show, Gunsmoke was a fine show, I don't think there was a television Western that was as grand and as epic and as well done across the board as the Big Valley. Okay? You start off with the cast. You've got Barbara Stanwyck, and I mentioned at the top of the show, I'll mention again, today's people might not even know that name. But in 1965, Barbara Stanwyck was at the highest echelon of Hollywood actresses. 4 Academy Award nominations, Golden Globes, famous movies, Meet John Doe and Sorry Wrong Number, and I think she was in Double Indemnity and countless others. You start with her, and then you go down to Richard Long, who was brilliant and very well known. Then you got Peter Breck as Nick Bartley, the rough and tumble, start a fight anywhere, break a board over his head, he'll laugh at you and smile. And then you got Lee Majors as Heath and Linda Evans, who you remember from Dynasty as Crystal Carrington. An incredible cast. Then the show is produced by Levy Gardner Layden, the people who did The Rifleman and many others for 4 Star Productions. The scripts are incredible. The cinematography is a guy that worked on Gone with the Wind. The music, I mentioned those guys. You know, it just was so well done. And so feast yourself on a little bit of the Big Valley, if you care to. And that's all I got on the Big Valley. I've gushed enough. And I have to go pump this thing up on all my social media. I'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll try to do a little CPR on this episode of the Tom Gulley Show. I know I'm going to play a different outro song. That's for damn sure. Those two didn't seem to work. I don't know what tomorrow's show is going to be about. Well, I do know some of the shows. Hold on. I wrote some things down. Oh, here we go. I know I'm going to do a show on Moxie Soda. I got all this entertainment stuff. I got to get some more historical in here. I might do a show on The Real World, the MTV show, reality show. I know I'm doing The Lone Ranger at some point. Anyway, I'll get it figured out. Trust me, I'll get it figured out. Hey, don't you worry your pretty little head. I'll get it figured out. I'll come up with something. Something will have to happen. And I'm getting ready to move, so at some point that'll have to occur. The Wolf says, not just the valley, but the Big Valley. Ba-dun-dun-dun-dun. The great opening song. Great opening song. Victoria Barkley, a woman with backbone and bite. You get on your horse and ride out. Oh, dear. Team Brittany say, not to be confused with the Hidden Valley, where they make all the ranch dressing. That's right. Victoria Barkley, a woman who knows just the right amount of buttermilk. You get on your salad and... All right. What do we got going on here? That's all I got, kids. I got to go to the grocery store. I'm all out of soda. I think I'm going to run by McDonald's and get one of those new Big Arch burgers. I had one the other day. It's pretty good. So with all that being said, I'm looking at the old clock on the wall. Thank you all for being here. I very much appreciate it. You cannot imagine how much I appreciate it. We need your help. We desperately need your help to help the show survive. And so if you can like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. We again did not reach our goal of any amount of money. That's okay. That's okay. It's fine. It's just fine. We'd rather have your likes and your shares and recommendations than that anyway. It's worth more. And so, you know, Butterdick Jones and Ryan Paradisus and certainly the chef and his gang. And obviously, Team Brittany, always great to see her here. And the Wolf. The Wolf. Thanks for being here. I'm looking at that old clock on the wall, and it says it's time for me to Amscray. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. You know why we didn't do well today is I forgot to put my ring on. What do we got in the chat real quick? You appreciate it so much, you just can't mention it. I appreciate it so much, I will never acknowledge it. And with all that being said, I think the only thing left to say is, till next time, we'll see you next time.
Passing by an exit, like reflections low. You're leaving behind what you've come to know. Turn that turning, the sun begins to rise. The lights ahead are burning as you rub your tired eyes.